What's up? What's up? What's up? Hi, everybody. This is Coach K. I am here doing the absolute honors for guest hosting for Sherry, who is taking some much needed time off for the next 3 weeks. You will have me and some special guests um, on the show today for the next 3 weeks, anyway. So today, I wanted to bring on some dope women in sports management in colleges because you don't see a lot or hear a lot of about athletic directors being women, and so I know two kick-ass women that are athletic directors at both. One is a D2 school and one is a D3 school. So I would like to introduce Wendy McManus, who is the athletic director of Oswego State University, and Angel Mason, who is the athletic director of Berry University. So welcome to She Said What She Said, ladies. Thanks for agreeing to be on the show.
Thanks for having us.
So, like I was telling you guys, I want to share your stories because I think, when girls grow up, you always ask them, what do you want to be? And everybody wants to be a lawyer or a doctor or a teacher. And athletes don't really, for girls, it's not really there. Say, hey, no, I want to be an athletic director. I want to run the show at a Big Ten school. I want to run the show at a D2 school. I want to run the show. So I think it's important for us to put you guys out there so they can see that, hey, girls rock, all this girl magic, we got it, you can run it, and to try to share with them your stories so they can see a path that they can go. And also to really see the path of how playing sports in high school can really help benefit your college experience and help pay for college and then open up doors for you. So I am going to start with Wendy first because her story is a little different because she's Canadian. Happy belated Canada Day.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then Wendy, just give your spiel, please. And then when Wendy's finishes, then Angel. Oh, I'm sorry, Angel. I have Angel Mason on it, but you are recently married. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Tell me the last name.
Lockett.
Lockett. I don't want Mr. Lockett to feel like I neglected him because, look, we like Mr. Lockett. When Wendy gets done, you go ahead and proceed. All right, take it away, Wendy.
Sure, thanks. And thanks for having me. I've known Konisha, Denise for, gosh, I mean, we're pushing 20 plus years.
1997.
Yeah, 20 plus years. So, but my journey to athletics started when I was young, right? So I had two older brothers and a dad that were very involved in athletics growing up. So I started off being the kid sister that wanted to tag along with the older brothers, and the tomboy that I was for much of my childhood in playing sports. I was a competitive figure skater. I know, Canadian, and did swimming and soccer and just about every sport except for hockey. Believe it or not, I'm the one family member that didn't play hockey, and really settled on volleyball in high school. And I went to a high school, for exceptional athletes. So I actually wasn't allowed to play that sport there. So I was able to play many other sports, which I really think for me helped me round out my talents and my skills to be a better athlete. And then, long story short, I ended up at Chicago State. And that's where I met Co and met some really good friends there. Didn't have the best volleyball career there, but did track, golf. I mean, so many different things. But the most important part was that I met some amazing people that are lifelong friends. And then I kind of got in, believe it or not, I didn't have intention to get into coaching and athletics. I wanted to be a forensic scientist. And then I was like, oh, well, that's a lot of school. So I decided against it. but did go and get my master's and started coaching as a graduate assistant. And my journey kind of took me all over the country. I was in Minnesota and New Mexico, South Texas, Oklahoma, Connecticut, then back up north to North Dakota, Illinois again, and now in upstate New York. So athletics has really taken me across the country and given me experiences I don't think I would have been afforded to do otherwise. So, and I started coaching, got into administration, into NCAA compliance at the Division II level. Bounced around a little bit and took experiences on the business side of the house and facilities management, and really rounded myself with the intention of doing so to become a director of athletics. And was afforded the opportunity at Elmhurst University, just outside of Chicago, to have my first sitting AD position at a D3 institution, and then now in upstate New York at SUNY Oswego, which is also a D3 institution. So there's the short version of my journey thus far.
Okay, I've been all off. I thought both of you guys were D2s. I'm so wrong. I am.
No.
So
Well, most of my professional experience up until I became an AD happened at the Division II level. So I get why you're confused.
Okay, so now Angel.
Well, and I will add to that, it doesn't help because we don't know each other personally, but I remember when you got hired at Elmhurst. And because I'm from originally Chicago, and so I remember that hire. I'm always keeping an eye on the Chicagoland area. And Berry College is a Division III in Georgia, but Berry University is a Division II in Florida. Don't worry, everybody always mixes it up. Now, once they see me in the colors, then they're like, oh, Berry College. Okay, got it. But yes, it's all confusing because there are over basically 500 Division IIIs right now. We're the largest division, have the most schools, also have the most female athletic directors of any of the divisions. So we're all over the place. But I'm Angel Mason. People call me Angel Mason Lockett now because I got married. But late bloomer in that for sure. I've been playing sports all my life. Basketball, ran track, softball, football, the whole deal. If there was a chance to get me out of the house, I was doing it, at least until the street lights came on, and played pretty much everything. I went to Evanston Township High School is where I graduated from, in Evanston on the North Shore by where Northwestern University is. Huge high school. By the time I graduated, we were just below 4,000 students. Huge high school. They were bringing in the largest incoming class at that time of 1,000 students. Love my experience there. Great teachers. I would say probably the most influential people were the coaches there and some of the physical education teachers who, for me, were all women. I played for all women with the exception of my track coach. My softball coach was a woman. My basketball coach was a woman. I eventually had a man as my basketball coach, but I started with all women in all of my sports, which I loved. So I started out playing for and seeing women in those type of roles in sport. I went on to play basketball at Butler University in Indianapolis, which is a Division I. Love my alma mater. Probably still one of the few D1s that I would ever leave Division III for. It's a special place, Butler Tarkington. If you're looking for a place in Indy, check out Butler first. But played basketball there, and actually out of undergrad, went back home to Chicago and was working. Not in athletics, had no ambition to be in athletics, but did not really enjoy the job that I was doing and decided to quit, which was not a fan favorite of my family's because they're like, you can't come back here. Every space is taken, every room is gone. Like, no, you have to figure it out. So I went overseas and kept playing basketball while I was trying to figure out what was next. And as per usual, sport gave me an opportunity to continue to see the world. I lived in Reykjavik, Iceland, and Madrid, Spain, and loved it. Beautiful, beautiful countries. And when I came back, I went back to my alma mater, talked to some of my mentors, Miss Alfreda Goff, who was at the conference office. She was a conference office administrator. Prior to that was an athletic director. Prior to that was a longtime head coach. And then John Hind, who was my senior associate when I was a student athlete. And they're like, you should get into athletics. You should get into administration. You'd be a great administrator. And I'm like, you pretty much watch my games. What else did you do? And they're like, yeah, absolutely not. We did a great deal more than that. They helped me get an internship. So I started actually my professional career in Division III through the NCAA Division III Ethnic Minority and Women's Internship Grant. And I was at Vassar College, loved it. I spent 6 to 8 weeks in every area of the athletic department. So I got to learn the importance of each of the areas and how they actually help build the student athlete experience. I can take pictures, I can write articles, I can balance your budget for sure, making tough decisions, strategic planning. But the best part of it was always being close to the students, being able to really be a part of their experience. And so I coached there as an assistant basketball coach and was in operations. And look, Wendy, we've been all over the place, right? I've been in upstate New York, Vassar College and Hamilton College. I've been out west, Caltech, a STEM institution, Pomona Pitzer Colleges, and the Claremont Consortium. And now I'm down south in Georgia, where I've never lived before, and no one tells you that the humidity is different here. But I've been here at Berry for 3 years now. I love it. We're a young Division III, going on 11 years. We were at NAIA for a long time, but beautiful campus, 27,000 acres. We are a space where students get a great education, but also we sponsor 22 varsity sports. So you have a chance to come and play varsity sports. And though we don't give athletic scholarships, we have a great deal of different academic scholarships. And if you're a strong student, you can have an opportunity to be a strong athlete here as well.
So, and what she did not mention is that Angel played for the Chicago Force football team.
Yeah.
She was a rookie with me in 2011. And, with football, with teammates, once you're a teammate and you bond, you are lifelong sisters. So we keep up with each other.
Yes.
Wendy didn't let me go in 1997. And so guess what? Not letting you go, Angel. So both of you guys played at a D1 school. And now you are over a D3 program. Can you tell me how that experience differs?
Angel, you go first.
Okay. So I'll say for me, the experience isn't that different because my alma mater, Barry believes in academic first. My alma mater, Butler, believes in academics first. I spent a whole semester one year practicing from 5:30 to 7:30 in the morning because I had a bunch of people on my team that all of a sudden wanted to be pharmacists or pre-med. And so all the evening labs and things like that, I think our mileage used to be 30 miles. If you were within 30 miles of campus, you couldn't get out of class early. So we had some very strict parameters around academics. So that's very much so like the premise of what Division III is built off of. Now, there's also some big advantages. I was a Division I athlete. I was on a full scholarship. Everything was paid for, which for me gave me access to a great education. So that's a big difference in what my experiences were. I would say the other thing is I find that a lot more Division IIIs are not in major cities. You find them to be a little more rural. They tend to be kind of built into a community. And though there's lots of colleges and universities in that way, you tend to find more Division Is that are connected to or very close to major cities. And if you stay in higher ed or in athletics for long enough, you have to be willing to move. And you have to be willing to go to some spaces that may not look like where you grew up, and there may not be a lot of people that look like you. But I think as long as you're comfortable being who you are and being in your own skin, you'll be able to operate and function anywhere.
How about you, Wendy?
Yeah, I think my experience was a lesson learned in what I want to be as an administrator. There's definitely differences in my experience, but I try to focus on now making what I went through never to happen to a student athlete again. Right. So, and that's a big draw. I wanted to make sure when I was coaching that our student athletes had a great experience. Not everybody has a perfect experience, but we strive to give everybody a good experience. I think the draw for me coming from Canada is the scholarship, right? I don't have to pay for school. The currency difference is huge. Even right now, it's huge. In my family, couldn't afford to pay for me to go to school. So it was either get a scholarship or get a job. Those were my two options. And I chose to get a scholarship because honestly, I believe if I stayed in Canada, I wouldn't have gone to school. I would be working somewhere, who knows, just solely because it's just different in Canada. Although we're so close, it's slightly different in academics, and 2-year college here is really a college there, and then a 4-year is a university. So academia is much different. But I truly believe my experiences, if I wasn't afforded a scholarship, I wouldn't have gone to school, and I wouldn't have been able to make impact for student athletes like I have the ability to do now. And coaches, right? My experiences as coaching, I try to lead my coaches as well and give them some understanding because I've been through it and going through budget process and all of that. Some people need a little help. I'm not an accountant by any means, but you learn and you try to share your leadership and knowledge with anybody that you can share with in hopes that they're better from, the point you met them to the point that they leave your department. You're muted, Co.
You can't tell me you're not an accountant because you are the go-to money person. I have trouble with money. Wendy's like, well, what did you do? Did you put anything in savings? Well, why didn't you? You need to be doing this. So I know why you make a good AD. Okay, so let's go back a little bit to your playing days in D1, that experience, right? Was there anyone that touched you where you were like, well, maybe I want to do sports administration, or now that you are in sports administration that you like, oh, I want to be like that person? Was there anybody like that?
Not when I played, right? I had no desire to go into coaching. It really was a means to get a degree for me. And just naturally, I was like, okay, well, I need my master's degree now. So I'm going to become a GA because I need my master's degree. And it just kind of catapulted from there. And I'm like, okay, I can make a difference. Are there one-off situations? Yes. But is there somebody that just said, you know what? You as an athlete should be in athletics? Not my experience.
But now that you are athletic director, has anyone that you have worked with before as a grad assistant or even as a student athlete that you're like, they have some really good qualities that you try to possess now?
Girl, that was 20 years ago. I could barely remember tomorrow or yesterday and tomorrow. I think there's
tomorrow.
there's been some really good people that now that I know I can go back throughout my career and say, hey, if I got an issue, I know where to go. Okay. When I was a student athlete, I just don't remember that. I don't remember having that experience like what Angel talked about, I'm sorry, where she was talking about her experience of Butler, where somebody was like, you need to do that. I just don't remember that, and I hope that I now have the ability to do that for student athletes because I don't recall ever having that experience.
Yeah. How about you, Angel?
Yeah, I mean, on the administrative side, and until this day, John Hind is a person I pick up the phone and I call. Anything from, okay, am I losing it? Or is this a real thing? Or he's a confidant that I can go and vent to, right? Because no matter the profession, you always have a day. But having someone that I can vent to that actually understands and can help me get to solutions, and that I know is vested in me as a person, right? Like, I met him when I was 17 years old, and he will frequently tell people I've known her since she was rough around the edges. I try not to have him tell stories about those times, but he's invested in me, and he's absolutely someone who told me early on that I could be doing this, and at one point in my career hired me to make sure that I had access to adding some things to my repertoire so that they weren't transferable skills, but that I actually had tangible skills running a budget. We were faculty there, so I oversaw physical education, making exemptions, working with the registrar's office, teaching in the PE curriculum. So I've absolutely had some people that have invested in me quite deeply, and saw it for me well before I had any idea of it for myself, and including my women's basketball coach, my second coach when I was at Butler. She's an incredible woman, and she's the type of person that you want to be, and it doesn't always feel very attainable because Coach Kuchar is shoot you straight, no chaser. And Southern woman, and she's very far from a belle. She's not that, but she cares deeply, and it's not always tied with a pretty bow, but she'd run through a wall for you. And she's one of the people that, it's not like we talk every week or anything like that, but if I pick up the phone and call, she always answers. And whenever there's major milestones in my life, she finds me, even if I don't get a chance to tell her first, if she sees it. So there are definitely people that have been deeply vested in me from the beginning.
Awesome.
Yeah, Coach. Think back to our experience at Chicago State in athletics. I had 5 coaches in 4 years.
Yes, you did.
Right? So it's really hard for me. Like, my experience versus Angel's experience is vastly different. And that's part of now as my journey is taking me to athletics, that I never want that to happen to a student athlete.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because mentally that's taxing. I mean, you were there. So
I was on the tennis team.
That's a lot. That really is a lot. And it doesn't present a great student athlete experience.
Definitely. So being women in charge. Women in charge. You both did the grad assistant. You both have done the assistant athletic directors in different positions from, I know compliance. I know Wendy's did compliance. Angel, you did budgeting or some business management part. Now you're the HWIC. Yeah, the head woman in charge. Do you have any struggles? Have you had any struggles with the boys in the yard not wanting to take lead from you because you're a woman? And if so, how have you dealt with that? How have you overcome that? Angel?
I don't think that anybody would ever admit that they struggled taking the lead from me because I'm a woman. Now, just because they don't admit it doesn't make it true. Doesn't make it not true. I think there's a couple of things for me that have been a struggle for people, and I understand that, so I let it live. I'm about to turn 40 in a couple of weeks. That's difficult for people, right? Most of my coaches are my senior, right? And have been my entire career. It's also difficult for lots of people to feel like, how are you overseeing football, baseball, men's lacrosse, hockey? You know, you didn't play these sports. You didn't know. Well, you don't know what I played. And I don't have to play a sport to understand it well. I mean, just look at professional sports coaches. There's a difference between being a good teacher, being a good administrator, being a good coach, being a good player, right? They are all very different skill sets. So have I had people with some troubles with it? Yeah. Since I don't mind confrontation or conflict, they're happy places for me. I'm okay with that. Now, if we have to stand toe to toe, you better be very, very good at your job if you're going to be standing toe to toe with me, because I know exactly what I'm great at. And I surround myself with people that fill my gaps so that I have a team that really you can't say much about. I focus on trying to build good relationships with people so that all of the predetermined things that they think they know, you know, that kind of whittles away a little bit. But then there are times where some people just can't get out of their own way, so you got to help them be great someplace else.
I like that. Wendy, how about yourself?
Yeah, I totally agree. Because one, Angel's like nailed it on the head. Nobody's ever going to admit that that's what the issue is, as certainly not to your face.
Right.
Right. I think the best approach has always been build the relationship first, because then when you have those tough conversations and crucial conversations, you have some foundation to it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the hardest part for me, and I am intentional on improving it every day, is to just be quiet and listen. Right? Because I always want to answer, yeah, that's not how we're doing this. Right? But I have to understand their point of view before I can make a move. So, and building that relationship is crucial, you know, for any person, not just a woman, to be successful in a management role.
So we have a question from the bleachers. It says, so how do you deal with men who do not want to respect your position in sports management?
Head on.
My girl. I checked the deuces.
Yeah. You know,
I'm learning.
You have situations where there are some people that just don't agree with your leadership style, your management style, your vision, what have you. At some point, you've got to get on the ship or get off the ship. So if there's constant debate and pushback, and I'm always good, push me, that makes me better. But if it's to the point where it's hindering my job, your job, and the student athlete experience, then we're going to have grander discussions. But straight on.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. For me, it is straight on. I think the other part of it is, while being straight on, you have to have a bit of tact with it, right? A key of our industry is it has been male dominated. It still is male dominated, but it has been male dominated. So there are spaces where I think innately men want to and feel like they're supposed to function that way, right? They don't know another way. We are in higher ed. Part of our job is to continue to educate people, right? So I'm a big fan of setting the 6,000 foot standards of how we'll operate. giving my head coaches autonomy to manage their programs within that. When it comes to having some conflict with people, for the most part, it's because I've set something up here that you're not under the umbrella, right? That's not going to just be a problem for me, because as your peers start seeing you functioning outside of that and getting away with it, that becomes a problem for all of us. So it allows me to be able to hold individuals accountable that don't want to be underneath my management, because their peers are going to hold them accountable if you've been clear about it, if it's documented, if you have processes that it's not personal. This is business. This is the process. And for me, it's always been helpful for people to know I'm not emotional about how I make decisions at all. You can see exactly how I got from A to B because you understand what I believe in. You know the values that we have as a department. And honestly, 95% of it is repetition. We're not changing our processes on an annual basis, right? I think the hardest jump is when you come into a new environment. Those are the most difficult ones because they've had a standard that they've been functioning with, good or bad or indifferent. And when you come in and you're trying to set a new standard, you have to have buy-in first. So that's where the relationships are. You got to find out who the key players in the department are. There's folks that lead in title and there are people that lead in relationships. And those people that lead in relationships are probably more important than those who are leaders in title because they have buy-in. So you gotta pick and choose your battles a little bit and get some people on board. And we use this ship all the time because we're the Vikings. And part of what we say is everybody on this ship rows. No one rides this boat. And if anyone starts feeling like somebody's riding, I won't be the only person that's trying to help them make some different decisions.
Awesome. I love it. I know, Angel, you played football for a year with me and you made a lasting impression from football. Because I always tell people the things that you learn in football, you learn are their life lessons and you take them wherever you go. Can you remember anything that you learned in football that, you use now?
Oh my God, absolutely. So, I played Pee Wee growing up, those type of things, but you're kind of just playing. Organized sports always played. Playing football with the freaking Chicago Force. You want to talk about bringing together men and women from all over the place, because lots of our coaches were men, the majority of them were from all over the place, all types of different backgrounds, and them just being like, no, I don't care that it's 12 degrees outside in Chicago. I want you to run this route. I don't care if you haven't stretched. Like, yes, you just came from work, but figure it out. So the biggest thing that I learned from that, honestly, is that you can push people well beyond them just being a student athlete. It really did help me on how I push my coaches to be their best and to coach their teams their best and give their kids their all while having some amount of care in it. Because even though I always wanted to choke them out, they were like the first people that would be grabbing us ice bags, helping us out. I got on the bus one day and just one cleat. I don't know how one of the two cleats fell out of my bag. And it was one of the coaches that was like, really, Mason? I'm like, look, man, I'll gym shoe it if I have to. But they were always there to kind of back you up. You knew they cared. Did he have me running extra? Absolutely. But it was a reminder in an adult phase that really the things we learn in sport, doesn't matter the level of sport, you carry it with you. And it is, those are the intangibles that we say sport provides to a professional. That's why so many businesses want athletes, because we understand how to really work together towards a vision or towards a goal. And we know how to put the team in front of our individual selves. But man, I'm just going to tell y'all, it is not for the weak-hearted. And it has helped me in relating to my football student athletes. And the fact that I can be on the field talking about routes with my young men. I know all of the positions. I know enough to be able to be very dangerous in the majority of my sports. But playing with the force is what put me over the edge with football, where I can sit with any alum, any donor at a football game, and they're kind of like, oh, okay. And I'm like, yeah. So it's been very helpful to my career.
And with Wendy, our CSU days, it created diversity. You learned a lot. They threw you into any sport that they needed an athlete in. Literally, they would call at 6 a.m. and say, hey, we got a tennis game, we got a track and field, we got golf.
The only thing I could do in tennis was serve. Aside from that, if I had to volley and return a ball, we're in trouble. But I will serve somebody off the court, that's for sure.
Oh yeah. How do you think that experience, being able to persevere through all of that, played 4 years at Chicago State, was an awesome setter. You thought I wouldn't remember. How do you think that experience has helped you be the AD that you are now?
Yeah, I think being able to play different sports at an elite level just gives you different perspective, because every coach runs their program vastly different, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody should have the common goal of winning and student experience and leadership development and all of those tangibles for when a student leaves your campus. But you just have, I felt more well-rounded, right, when I started my journey in athletics, because like Angel said, I can talk football. It's not my forte, but I can talk football. But I can talk basketball. I can talk lacrosse. I'm learning lacrosse. I can field hockey, which I played in high school. I can have conversations, much like Angel said, that hey, I know just enough to be dangerous in every sport. And the ones I don't know, I lean heavily on my head coach to teach me, right? And give, we have chalk talks in my office, so I know what the heck's going on. So learning the sport, it's fun, but I think my experience overall athletically there helped me be more well-rounded.
Awesome. How do you guys, I've often wondered, for the collegiate level, how do you choose your coaches? Like what do you guys really look for? You Yeah, give us a little insight on that.
So I think it depends on where the program is, right? Like, do
Mhm.
you have a program that's coming off national championships? Do you have a program that's more of a startup program or a rebuild? I think it all depends. But then I think it also is, what's your philosophy on hiring coaches? Do you want a young, up and coming go getter, or do you want somebody with extenuous experience but is on the sunset, right? Like I think you have to evaluate and know where your program is. On our campus, a little different than other places that I've been, I'm not allowed to serve on the search committee because of the state system. So I'm very intentional of giving other head coaches, other administrators, leadership opportunities to lead these searches, because they're going to work with them together too. So it's their opinions are valued in our department and important, because if they see a red flag, they're going to see it before I see it, right? Because they're working with them every day. And we also include our student athletes, have a student athlete on every search committee. It doesn't matter if it's an administrator or a head coach position or support staff. We always have student representation and student open sessions for that position. But it really depends. And then also you have salary, right? Like, it's black. Numbers are numbers. Some people, it's just not going to work out that way. I may want to try and go get this high level coach, and I just can't afford them, right? I can only afford the up and coming coach, but I'm really excited to help them develop into a really successful coach, even if that means they're moving on in 3-5 years, right? Maybe that's where you are. So it really depends on the program.
Okay.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. It depends on where your program is, and it depends on what the goals are for like the 3 to 5 year for the program. What you're willing to invest if you're at the place where you're trying to turn a program around, and sometimes that means a young up and comer. Sometimes that does mean somebody towards the end of their career where they can give it a last hurrah and get the program into a great place where now you can garner a strong applicant pool because you've shown that you can be successful here, right? Success is contagious. When a program is able to do so, a lot of times it makes recruiting of future student athletes easier. It makes recruiting of future coaches easier as well. I tend to always like post a job, use your different networks, stuff like that. But if there's folks that I'm really looking at, I'll make phone calls. I will share things that you can't see on a job ad. I will be a little more aggressive in having certain individuals in my pool. And I tell my coaches the same, that there are times where you have to become a recruiter for your program. And that is when you're searching for your assistant coaches and so on. And so when I do head coaches searches, it's the same. I will share some of my searches. I don't share all of them. And it just depends. And it's not even just the sports that report to me. I have 2 other administrators that I have sports that report to. And they will always do the sports that report to them. I don't always do the ones that report to me, and for a variety of reasons. Let's say I start looking, I can always see the pool, but let's say I start seeing the pool and I know multiple people in the pool. I don't want for people to feel that they've moved forward because of a personal relationship with me. So I have someone else take the lead in the pool and let the committee whittle it down to, the top 6. And sometimes even in that top 6, I'll still stay behind the scenes. One thing that COVID has really helped us with is everybody is accustomed to Zoom interviews now. I don't have to be present to see your interview. We tell everyone they're all recorded. So I can see it later and give my 2 dimes and a nickel off screen. And then there are parts, we do the same, Wendy, where we always have student athletes that are a part of all of our searches, administrative or coach searches. I share with teams when it's a coach search that I will share as much with you as I can, but I will not share anything that may lead for you to do harm to a professional. Right? So I can be transparent and honest with you as much as I can trust you. The moment that I begin to feel differently, then my role becomes protecting those candidates. And I remind them that our role is, we're not trying to do harm to anyone else. We're just trying to find our right person. And honestly, they respond really well to that. And so it's not normally a problem. And then I always preface them with hey, talk me through what are some of the skills or skill sets or traits that you want to see in your next head coach? And that helps in breaking down a couple of preconceived notions around coaches. You find especially my women's teams tend to genderize their traits quite a bit. You want him to have this, he should have that. And I'm like, why do you keep genderizing skills and traits? They don't have gender. So then that kind of opens the door for them to be more open to having female candidates, even if they've never played for a female before in their career.
Awesome. Speaking of women in sports, 50-year anniversary of Title IX. Woohoo! Did you guys do any type of bigger celebration for Title IX? And what has it meant for you? You can tell me that part, but I really want to know, what has it meant for you on a personal level? go ahead. Whoever want to go first,
I'll go. We didn't do a large celebration. We did do some social media posts and such. We actually, although it be a little bit late, but we're celebrating all year. So we just how our schedules panned out. We have a day in October where all of our home contests are women's sports. So we're going to use that date to do some leadership development for our student athletes and coaches, and then also community youth groups and such. So we're going to use that day as our campus celebration. So what it means to me, I had no idea what Title IX was until I came to the US, right? Like, I had no idea. I have had to do a lot of my own research and listening through women leaders in college sport and NCAA programming to really understand what it was all about, because I always had the opportunity to compete. Part of that is my age, right? Like, I was had the ability to do all of these things because of those that came before, right? But I really had to educate myself on what it is, because there was no such thing as Title IX in Canada. It was called something different. So it was a international, I want to say language barrier, but that's not really what it is. But it just cultural difference, because I didn't know. I really didn't know. So, but I can tell you right now, the programmings that are out there that have afforded me the ability to improve my leadership skill set, like Women Leaders has amazing programming. NCAA has some really great programming as well. If I didn't have that, I'm not sure where I would be, because it gives you that opportunity to network, learn, develop your skill set.
Yeah, so we did some small social media things as well. We did some team takeovers. We did some history things because we have our founder is a woman, good old Martha. So we did some things there as well. So those things were all really cool. And then I did some separate things with some of the professional organizations that had things going on there, which were fun. But the celebration has not stopped, because the celebration will continue all year. So we're excited about that. We highlighted our female coaches, and then we did some highlights of our top female programs. And then we did an education piece, our Student Athlete Advisory Committee did, around sex and hypermasculinity and its connection to sport, which was really cool because it's how we kind of bridge the gap with many of our young men. We sponsor football, we sponsor lacrosse, we sponsor baseball. And so those are good partners, and through our Student Athlete Advisory Committee, of being able to do those type of things. For me, look, I completely am on the benefit side of Title IX for sure. But I will say I've always known what Title IX was, what it's meant, the doors that it's opened, because all the people that have basically raised me up through sport were completely engulfed in Title IX. I mean, AIAW, which was the original championships organization for women in intercollegiate athletics before NCAA and NAIA and all of that jazz. Having people that were part of those organizations that have been longtime coaches, and the whole inter-institutional competitions. Those were the people that kind of brought me up. So they have not been light at all about explaining exactly what Title IX was then and why we have to keep fighting for it. Is it sad that we have to keep fighting for it? We won't get into that conversation. But yes, the reason why we need to keep fighting for it, keep being visible, and staying united in that space, What I hate that gets lost is that people make Title IX about sport. And Title IX is about access, equal access and opportunity to education for women and all things that come with that. And sport is a part of that, as is our ability to be able to not be abused and it have to be hidden because we happen to also be women, right? So I appreciate the totality of what Title IX is, and I think it keeps reinventing itself as the current purpose of the time is at the forefront. And of course, athletics keeps popping up because everyone's like, why you got to cut men's sports, women's sports? I'm not saying cut them. I'm saying find money and access and resources for both, or you're going to have to make some tough decisions.
Co, you're muted.
Thank you. Going to based upon what you said earlier, that D3s have the most amount of women ADs. Why do you think that there's been a change in leadership? That there are so many ADs that are women. I know that Wendy used to volunteer. I don't know if she still does, for NCAA big leadership conference or whatever yearly. How do you think that this is changing, this evolution, so to speak, into more women being in lead roles?
Yeah, I mean, Division III has always been at the forefront for women leading. And much of that is because of Division III's pillars and the type of institutions that they are. Division IIIs are smaller athletic departments as far as staffing, but tend to offer more sports. So whereas you may look at a major Division I and they'll have 50 administrators, no coaching responsibilities, just administrators. Most Division III athletics departments have somewhere between 1 and 3 individuals that are solely administrative responsibilities. That they do not coach, they do not wear any other hat, they are solely administrators. And by no other hat, I mean they're not teaching classes on the faculty side, or they're not working for the college in some other capacity. And so that's been a space where lots of your teachers or professors have been women. That's been a space for women consistently in this country. They became coaches as well. And even as we talk about Title IX, even post Title IX, when athletic departments combined, they weren't combining much when it came to Division III because there was only 1 or 2 administrators. So people were able to be kept in comparison to Division I's, where when they combined, they just got rid of all of the female administrators, as well as many of the female coaches, which is why we're behind the 8 ball in many of those places. But women in Division III have always been in leadership roles, and are the most equitable division, I would say. Are we equal? No. But we are way more equitable. And I think that the other divisions are coming around to that. Where Division III struggles is that it is the division that has the least amount of minorities that are in leadership. And multiple facets for how people will think of the why behind that. But the least amount of minorities in leadership in Division III.
Hi, Frank Marshall says hello. So hi, Frank. Wendy?
Yeah, I don't think I really could add anything more to what Angel shared, because it's all factual, right? It's on paper, it's on numbers. You can see it. So I really don't think there's much more to add to it. I'm really the newbie at Division III. I grew up professionally, administratively in Division II, and I was not getting looks or even interviews at the Division II level for AD positions. So like we move to take the opportunity to broaden our experiences. I said, all right, athletics is athletics. It doesn't matter if it's D1, 2, 3, NAIA, JUCO, or any other organizations, the concept is all the same. So Division III is where I landed, and I intend to stay for a while. I enjoy it.
Awesome. You mentioned moving. So going back, you guys have had to move. Name some of the places, some of the cities that you have been in, and your favorite thing about that particular city.
Laredo, Texas. Breakfast tacos.
I'm sorry, Wendy. I visited Bemidji, and I missed
The corner bar.
the corner bar. But hey, snowmobiling.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I could probably, everywhere I've been, I've have probably one favorite thing on each, but that's all. I could be here for half an hour talking about every place I've been. Breakfast, two tacos for $1.50. Breakfast tacos. You can't beat that.
Not at all.
Inflation's probably got them up a little bit more now, though.
I mean, that might be worth the trip too. I don't recall ever seeing it. I mean, you can't get 2 street tacos for $1.50. I would say my favorite place that I've lived would have to be Pasadena, California, the Rose Bowl, being able to go to games there, concerts and events there. Even just walking and getting exercise out there. And it's just a really cool little town outside of LA. Good food, good eats, very walkable. Like, I dig Pasadena.
I'm still a friend on Facebook of that school, and they're doing well. Angel sets up social media wherever she goes. And so she makes sure that all of her Facebook friends are now friends of that university. And so I'm like, I'm a Viking lover. Okay, cool. They're doing great. You guys, oh, congratulations on your championship. You just won what is it? I forgot.
We won the Commissioner's Cup, so it's basically the all conference award. Yeah, so we're pretty proud of it. It was our first time ever winning it, but I would say probably more proud that in our conference there's only been 2 schools that have ever won it, and it was the first time that one of the 2 of them has been dethroned. So that was nice. I've made sure to tell those 2 ADs a couple of times.
And what is the Commissioner's Cup? Can you explain that?
Yeah, the Commissioner's Cup is so for your conference. Some people have the Commissioner's Cup, the All Conference Cup, the President's Cup. They just have different names for it. But basically, for every varsity sport that your conference sponsors, you get different points based on finishes as a school. And the school that has the highest amount of points based on all of your varsity sport teams' finishes is the cup winner. And so it's pretty cool. It's a very large cup, actually. We were just trying to figure out a couple of days ago, what are we going to use to put in there at the start of the year to kind of inspire our student athletes to like keep trucking. So we got to figure that part out. We got to have it do something with Vikings. I don't know. We'll throw paint at them or something. I don't know. But it's actually pretty cool. And then I got a little mini version one that my commissioner gave me. That I appreciate that, especially since it's the first time that our school has won it. And it's really, it's a 2-hand clap to all of our athletes and all of our coaches for the work that they've done all year, right? It's a culminating event and a culminating award. It's similar to the what is it called? The standings for the Learfield Cup is, and that goes across all divisions and NAIA. And you kind of, these are like the best athletic departments in the country. And this year was the first year that we broke the top 100. So within Division III. So it was a good year for us. We came out of COVID swinging.
Awesome. COVID, put a halt on a lot of things, changed a lot of things, and now we're coming out of it. What are some challenges that you are seeing with student athletes uh, this year that you probably didn't have, would have even never thought of before? How about you in New York, Wendy?
I wouldn't say never thought of, but we've seen more mental health concerns that we've ever had before, right? So we as a department are looking at what we can do better. Our student athlete advisory committee has also started an initiative as well on awareness and bringing counseling services to our space versus going to our health services, and the stigma with, oh, you're going into that building. Well, either you have some sort of medical issue or mental health, right? So there's some stigma around that in different ways where our student athletes can get the help that they may need. But also for our coaches is giving them the tools to recognize, right, those red flags. One of the things that we're in depth in conversation about right now, and think about it from our perspectives, right? Like if I need a mental health day, I just take it, right? Our student athletes don't have that opportunity to do that because when are they playing? They're playing on weekends because they have less missed class time. And if our schedule, sometimes they play Tuesday. So when's their day off? Well, probably Wednesday. Well, is it really truly a day off? No, because they have a full load of classes because they're taking 16 to 18 hours. So when truly do they get a full day off where there's no classes, there's no athletics. So what we're talking about is the opportunity for our student athletes to come up and say, Coach, I just need the day. And there will only be approximately 3 to 5 questions, depending on the sport, that they will ask. It'll be, do you need help? Where are you going? Do you want somebody to go with you? And how long will you be? Right? Just to make certain. But also, it doesn't give the opportunity for students to just say, you know what, I'm just not going to practice today. Because once you hit a certain number of those, and we don't have the magic number, let's just say it's 4 or 5. Once you hit a certain number of those, then we're going to have a conversation to see what the larger problem may be, and how to give some assistance or guidance or whatever that may look like for that student athlete. So I think it's important for us to be more aware because we've seen that across the country. Just the influx of mental health cases, not just in athletics, but we've also seen that as well. So that's a big thing right now. I think this year for students academically was a little harder, especially in our campus, because they didn't have the opportunity to turn off their camera and take a nap in the middle of class. So there's some of those things, and just the transition back into the classroom has been difficult. And then you think about, your first year students, they haven't been in a traditional classroom for maybe 3 years, right? And they're coming to college, and we know many of them are coming not prepared, but then you add in, they haven't been in a classroom in 3 years. And many, our faculty have to adjust to that as well, right? Because the quality and what they're teaching may have to be adjusted to our students as well. So there's a lot of things out of COVID. I think there's a lot of great things also that happened out of COVID. We can do things remotely. We don't have to be in the office all the time. And for me, it's, hey, staff, just turn it off, right? Set some boundaries and just turn it off. You know, my staff knows if they're calling me after 8 p.m., and that may be late for some people, um, it better be an emergency because that's my time, right? And 9 times out of the 10, they don't call me after 6. But you know, if they're calling me, I know it's something urgent and I need to be aware. So it gave us the ability to set boundaries that in athletics we've never had before. Even though there's this misconception of life in the balance, work life balance. I'm sorry, but whoever made that up has never been a college coach and worked in athletics, because you're taking recruiting calls at midnight, depending on what time zone they're in. So it gave us the ability to hit the is it Staples, that button, that reset button, whatever it is, to hit that button and evaluate where we can be staff friendly as well.
Yeah, I would agree
that was a lot.
Well, I would agree. We've dealt with some of those same challenges, but I think that we have been very lucky in that our campus really shut down for a couple of months. Right after everything kind of hit, we were on spring break. We shut down for the rest of the year, but we came back in the fall. We're in the South. The weather is permitted to being able to have some outdoor classes. Our college was very proactive, set up some big tents and some outdoor classroom settings. We dumped a lot of money into some tech stuff. Our classes were basically around 50%, kind of depending. So if you had a Tuesday, Thursday class, you were in person on Tuesday, Thursday, you were in your residence hall, zooming in, so that everybody was kind of able to take part. But we didn't shut down again. But part of that is that we shut the outside community out from being able to access our campus. And with 27,000 acres, people want to come and hike and bike and picnic and feed the animals and get up on the reservoir. And so most of our headache was dealing with the outside community that has grown up using our campus, and the tourists that will have driven from Tennessee or Alabama, and they're like, how dare you be closed? Or, hey, I pay my taxes. And I'm like, again, we're a private institution. I don't, what does your taxes mean here? Those were our biggest problems. And having our students feel like sometimes that they were locked on campus. You know, you saw lots of tweets about, oh, it's like we're in prison. And I'm like, this is the most beautiful prison. I grew up in Chicago. This is not what prison looks like. But those type of feelings for our students. And I think it's normal for anybody between like 14 and 22 years old, right? Just tell them that they can't do something, and then all of a sudden they really, really, really want to do it. When in actuality, the majority of our students are not running off campus multiple times a day if they don't have a job or something off campus. But the moment that we said, you have to have permission to leave for certain things, they're like, I want to do everything off campus. I'm like, so that was most of our problem, was the community, outside community trying to come in, and then the restrictions that we had to put around our students in order to be able to keep our campus residential in full capacity.
Upstate New York was a little different.
Oh, yes.
A little different. We had a spectator policy that all of our spectators had to be vaccinated or tested depending on the type of test. So that was a little problematic, and we saw a significant decline in our season tickets as a result. So we're hoping to pull some of them back this year. But yeah, I think we all have some bumps that have happened.
What advice would you give your younger self, being your senior year of college, knowing what you know now? What advice would you give yourself?
I would say for me, the advice I would have given my younger self is show care a little earlier and a little more often. I'm innately rough. And I think it took me a long time to be able to show care in a way that didn't make me feel like I was weak or that I can be taken advantage of, or made people feel the relationship was something that it was not. It's important to me to be authentically myself. My preference is for people to be at arm's length. That is my preference. I don't stray from that at all. But I can keep colleagues at arm's length personally while still being close to them professionally and giving them what they need to be successful. So I would have told my younger self that much, 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 much earlier. It would have saved me a bit of a headache.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I 100% agree with work on the authentic you, right? Like, there's only one you. Love you. Love you. Um, I also, for me, it's really important that I use my voice, and I didn't have, it took me a long time to find my voice, right? Even as part of finding my authentic me, right? It's okay that you don't know it, just know you should be working towards that. um I mean, I still every day I work on it intentionally, because that's just the nature of who I want to be and continuing to grow. But finding my voice and being an ally and an advocate and a champion for everybody that I come across is extremely important to me. I don't think I told my younger self that anytime. I think I was too worried about partying and and hey, where's the next fun thing to do? The fun new adventure, rather than saving money. And that would be something I would tell myself: spend wisely. Spend wisely.
I want to give you guys a minute to, you guys both have a minute each to give an advertisement for your school, why a student should choose your school or look at your school. Um, Most people don't know about the D3s. When you think of a D3, so as a high school football coach, the kids are like, oh, I want a D1. You're not a D1 student. You're not a D1 athlete. You better look at D2s. But even I know, I don't even tell them D3s unless they are a really smart kid. And like, I have one going to a D3 school, and I'm like, I don't know how you got in there, but okay, let me give you resources to make sure that you succeed. But give me a spiel. I want to hear it. Give your school a shout out. Let's go.
I'll start. Not every D3 school is a private school, right? So I'm at a state institution where, versus Berry College, the academic admission requirements may be a little easier than some of our private schools. But more important for us, it's what's your major? Do we have your major? Is it affordable? We look at it from a perspective of, are you paying less to go here than you are to one of our regionally private institutions, right? Because in the long run, accounting is accounting and English is English at every institution you go to. What's your experience going to be? And I've been both private and public, but what's your experience going to be? And does that fit you? Right? So it all depends on your major too. Like for us, we have very strong business majors and we have very strong communication majors. Steve Levy is one of our alums. Al Roker is one of our alums. I mean, we have a laundry list of ESPN analysts and contacts in that world that come to our campus all the time. Right. So look at those experiences and see if that's what best suits you and where you want to be, because not everybody's going to play professional athletics. So this could be a great experience for you. Upstate, but on the other side, upstate New York isn't for everybody. Right? Someone coming from Georgia may not want to come to upstate New York on Lake Ontario with the cold winds and lake effect. So all of those being realistic things for our campus, but ultimately our campus prides itself on our commitment to diversity and inclusion and social justice work. You can see that on our campus and every space that you visit. We really pride ourselves on our student experiences and giving students the opportunity outside of the classroom to develop and move and be good citizens and move forward professionally. So, sorry, I went off on a little tangent, but
It's
all
okay.
yours, Dr. Mason.
Wait a minute. Hold on. You got to get a name.
Mason Locke. Mason Locke.
Look, you got to give the name of your school.
Oh, I am
and the web
so
address.
sorry. SUNY Oswego or Oswego State.
And where do they go to apply if they're interested?
Oswego.edu.
Thank you. Now, Angel.
So, Berry College in Rome, Georgia, and more specifically, Mount Berry, Georgia. We are the largest acreage campus in the United States of America at 27,000 acres. We have both our main and mountain campuses that are about 3 miles apart, but still on the same plot of land. We are an extremely safe campus. There are 2 ways in and out of our campus. We have agricultural majors. We have a great school of business. We have an extremely strong nursing program. We have an engineering 3-2 program combination with access to some of the other institutions in Atlanta, Georgia. One of the things that we make sure to pride ourselves on is the way in which we stay to our pillars of the heart, head, and hands. We use the heart from our founder in how we serve one another. We serve our community around us. We make sure that with the head, you're getting a stellar academic experience and the opportunity to put your academics into practice through our work program, which is the hands. We have over 85% of our students that have student work jobs on campus, and they do everything from grounds work and cutting the grass to working in the president's office and helping with putting together board meetings. You have mentors that are faculty members, that are staff, and that are administrators of the college that help you in building the career that you want to have, whether it's through entrepreneurship or it is one of our general majors. And it all comes together with an extremely strong alumni base that help you come back annually, rather it be via Mountain Day or through our work program or through our giving days, in order to make sure that the experience that our current students have reflects beyond the experience that our alums have. So if you're looking for some place where you can have outdoor adventures, you can have a strong academic experience, you have opportunities to pay for a rigorous education through work on campus, Berry College is an institution that you absolutely need to look at. We are 90 minutes from Atlanta, Georgia, about 75 minutes from Birmingham, Alabama, and you can get over to Nashville, Tennessee in about 2 hours.
Well, that spiel was way better than mine. Man, I'm going to have to work on my elevator speech.
Oh my goodness.
But I got jokes. I always got jokes.
I like the jokes.
I love it. Ladies, I so thank you so much. I know Sherry is going to watch this, and because she comes from a D1 school, she plays soccer. She's going to be mad that she missed y'all. She probably going to fight me. She'll probably say, oh, you've been holding him out for you. You never thought about having him for me. So I appreciate you guys. You guys have made, a pretty wonderful impact in my life. Wendy, for being my wonderful friend, non-judgmental, kicks me in my ass when I need it. No holds barred, kicks me in my ass when I need it. Angel, for us to have only played a year, no one would ever know. You were just sweet. But at the same time, you wouldn't take no shit. And it just meant a lot. And just to have seen you guys go from where we were, how we met, into your leadership roles that you are in. It inspires me to be, it inspires me, and I love it. And I take, small bits of you guys with me as I venture into coaching, being a coach. And so you guys make me very proud. I know you make our ancestors proud. Thank you so much for doing this. If you want to say any last minute things, if not, then Terrence can close us out. Oh, and thank you, Terrence, in the background.
Thanks for having us. But keep in mind, right? You're making waves too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right? You're making waves too.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us. And I think it's just important to make sure that we acknowledge the spaces and the doors that you're opening up for people behind you, but the doors that you're opening up for access to be able to see people in spaces like we are and in others.
Definitely. Thanks, ladies. Have a good evening. Have a good, a good next year, because the college years, academic year starts August. What is it? July 1st or August 1st?
Man, August 1 for me.
August 1.
Yeah, my poor coaches know that first week is, let's go.
Oh, Angel, you know what? You didn't say where you go to apply for Berry College.
Oh, www.berry.edu. And if you want to check out one of our 22 varsity sports, berryvikings.com.
Wendy, you got a different email. You got a different email for sports. I mean, a different website.
Website, OswegoLakers.com.
Oswego Lakers. Like California, like the Lakers.
Like
Lakers?
a wave. Yes, like the Lakers.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, Lake, because you're right by Ontario. Okay.
Yes.
I get it. At first I didn't get it, and then I had to realize, okay, Lake Ontario. Duh. The geography.
It's late. We'll give that to you. It's late.
All right. Thank you, ladies. Love you guys. Much success. Bye.
This has been a Chicago Clubhouse Network production.
Hello.